And for the second time this week, one of the best. Truly one of the nicest guys in the business who does more for this business than probably anybody I know. Would you please welcome, for Tools for Podcasting Wins and Fails, Mr. John Young.
Thank you, Big Daddy. So we're going to be going through and talking about podcasting, things that we have used, good and bad, in this little seminar. And then we're going to get into some of the software that's used. And this will be some of the software that's used to stream to Facebook, to YouTube, to a bunch of different places all at once, what have you. And then we're going to kind of go through talk about some settings and different things. But the biggest takeaway for those of you who are, why should you sit in this? Because first off, I've spent a lot of money on some of these pieces that are junk. And I'm going to go through and talk about a few of those pieces. Then using the Zoom, and I'm going to spend probably more time at the end with software with Zoom, because Zoom is a great app if you haven't used it for doing client meetings. A lot of you use Skype. Skype is fine, but I do not like to have them have my contact and I have their contact. Zoom, I don't have to have that. I can do some really cool things. And what I like about Zoom, another thing, is I've sent suggestions over the last 5 years, because we've been using it for about that long, and you'll see some of those suggestions that they've implemented, so it makes me feel special. So, yay! So, podcasting things. Everything I'm going to talk about for gear today is going to be available out at DJNTV.com/podcasting. So it has a list of all of the different items, and you can go there, click on those. If you want to purchase it, that's great. Doesn't cost you any more to click on my links, but it's an affiliate link, and I get a couple of cents on each purchase. But it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps out a little bit. So, and I'll have that link up again later. This is also being streamed right now to 7 different locations out on the internet right now, 2 different YouTube channels and 5 different Facebook pages. So this is going out to a lot of people who are able to see that. So thank you guys for watching out there and joining us, and we'll continue on. So with video, when we're doing podcasting, we want to get decent video. My little MacBook Air gets okay video. If you watch the video I shot last night, that was with the MacBook Air. You need a webcam or something better. Something like that is absolutely fabulous that is out there, or there was another different version in the back. But webcams have come so far over the last few years. This is a Logitech. This is the 920 version that we have. This is what we use for most of our shows. There's 2 different versions that I have. I've got the 920, or I have the 930. The biggest difference between the two is that the 920 has a little bit narrower. It only has about a 78-degree coverage, where the 930 is a little bit wider. So if I'm going to be doing a tabletop thing and I don't want to be, don't want to have to move it as far back, the 930 works better. There's a little distortion with it, but it's a great camera. Both of these, why I like these, is that they can be put on a tripod, the top of a little tripod. So you can put them anywhere on that tripod and run wires to the device, and off you go. A lot of the webcams you buy don't have that capability. The 920, I'll go back to that one, has been replaced by the 922, but you can still find the 920s on Amazon for about $50 or $60. Great deal. I've purchased these as high as $120. They are priced, they're way down now, so it's much better. And 930, again, if I'm going to choose left or right, I'd go 920 all day long. But now I want to go to 4K. So this is the one I want to get, but I'm not going to get it because it doesn't have that tripod capability. It can only be clipped on. But Logitech came out with a Brio in the last year here to be able to do 4K. And now that I have a bigger, more bandwidth at the house, and I have this Restream, which you'll see in a little bit, this is going to be on my next round of purchasing, to be able to get 4K video out of a camera. Those are the main ones we use when we're talking about podcasting in the studio here for DJNTV. Then it's to get audio for our podcasting. We're going to look at 4 different mixers here today, and I own all 4 of these, and there's good and bad with these. This is the one that probably one of the first ones we purchased, because everyone said the Q502 was a great little mixer for podcasting, and it's cheap. It's like $50. Well, it's functional, but it wouldn't be the one I would recommend. If you just wanted to have something to go and be able to make some quick and dirty edits, it'll do that. It doesn't have the headroom that I like when it comes to a microphone. It doesn't have some of the compression capabilities that the Yamaha one we'll look at in just a second. And probably the biggest thing it doesn't have is when you're doing a Zoom video. And if you've watched some of our videos where we have multiple people, the way the audio works is I'm capturing the audio from Zoom, and I bring that into the board, into my little controller. And then I have my microphone in there. My microphone goes into the board and then goes out to Zoom. Their audio comes into the board and then comes out again into our software, which is Wirecast. the Behringer boards cannot handle that. Yamaha can. And this is a huge thing when we're going remote and we're wanting to bring, like if I'm in Vegas doing a show or here doing a show, and if I want to bring someone in from, MJ for the night or something, I can't do it with these boards. So if you're just doing something and you wanted to get into it, many of our DJNTV talent have this because they're not doing the multi thing like I am. So this is functional. This one's better. It has the ability to bring in more microphones. It still can't do the in and out like I'd like it to do. But if I'm just going to be doing a remote spot, I have this one. It's about 100, 120 bucks, whatever it is. And the idea, the way I use this one over the Yamaha is because if I break this one, I'm not out too much money. I really view this one as a kind of a disposable one. It's a decent board. Again, doesn't have the capability, and it doesn't have the sound quality of what the Yamaha does. This is my preferred one. I use this for wedding ceremonies. I use this for our podcast. I've got 2 different spots in the studio that I use this one. And again, the idea is that I can bring the audio in and it comes in at like 7 or 8. That's what my guests are. They come in on that channel. And then mine, I'm on channel 1. If I have somebody in the studio with me, when Ben was with me, I'm on 1, he's on 2. And then we have it so we can control everyone else who's coming in on line 7. Then the master controls all that. That goes back to my Wirecast software that broadcasts it out to the internet. Has compression capability. It has effects on it. And some of those effects, you can make yourself sound like a little bit more of a radio DJ voice and have a little more presence in that. I absolutely love this board. Another one that I have used, but my son ended up taking this one. The Yamaha, it has the ability to go in and out and such like the other does, only 1 microphone, so that was kind of a downer for me, but I was going to use this for remote things, but my son is using this for his audio. He's making rap songs. Michael, if you guys know Michael, he's been making some, and he and his friends use this, and it works really, really well for their application. It's a little cheaper than some of them, than a Personas things. If you're going to go with a board, this is the MG10XU is the one to go with, is in my estimation. Good board, but it just doesn't have the flexibility. Studio microphones, you want to have a good quality audio, and you guys, if you've watched like Kilna, she just uses an SM58 with her videos, and it sounds okay, but if you want to get that clarity and that really rich sound, you need to have a studio microphone. This is, it didn't put the name on the top of this one.
RE20.
This is the 320. Isn't it? Yeah, the 320, I think this one is. The RE320, I believe. But anyway, it's around a $300 microphone. This one's, but we use this in the studio, and it's a fabulous mic. It has that rich sound. You don't need a pop filter, although I'm sure there are times where people say you need it. Yeah.
320 by whom?
Electro Voice. Yeah, I didn't have the name on the top of that one. I apologize for that. But yeah, Electro Voice. This is the most not accepted, but this is the most common one that a lot of us use, and it's a great microphone. And you connect it with that Yamaha board, and it's a great combo. And then you want to get the matching 309A, the mount for it, which is just a nice little mount. The actual what you're using for kind of a holder from that. Some people are using a base type, and some people use an articulating arm for that. There's so many options for that depending upon your desk. I didn't bother to go into that, but I had a different shock mount I used for it, and it didn't work very well because it wasn't heavy enough to handle that microphone properly. Continuing on, if we don't want to use a webcam, if we want to use something that's higher end for camera, and we want to run in an HDMI signal, Blackmagic is one of the companies that create some of the devices that allow you to capture HDMI and convert it to, in this case, Thunderbolt. They also have devices that will be able to capture and convert it to USB 3 for PC. This little device is Thunderbolt. HDMI goes in, out the other side, $145. A nice unit, and what's really kind of cool in that with this application is that it will come in and give you this super high definition, and there are some of the shows where I will have one laptop doing virtual DJ with the music videos. I can export it out HDMI, catch it with that, bring it into the second computer, and then transmit it out in a screen-to-screen, similar to what they did in the last seminar. That's not the Logitech. I didn't change that. I'm sorry. But anyway, the Blackmagic design is out there also. I didn't change the top. Continuing on with audio, and if we're going into more of a mobile application, the Shure 2X2U, This will actually hook up into a cell phone. And when I'm doing some of the mobile things where I want to podcast out in the field, this, of all of the units I've tried out in the field, is the one that I like the most for using decent microphones. And I'll be talking about one of the decent handheld microphones here in a little bit. I really have liked this one. Battery life, I wish it would be a little bit longer, but it functions very, very well for that. It's just one microphone, it's kind of a downer, and its battery life doesn't last all day. But it gives you a really nice clear signal, and you have some capabilities there for gains and such. Getting to our first, I would call this a fail. iRig Pro Duo. iRig Pro came out with a single one and a dual. Basically, it's a device that will allow you to go from XLR, regular microphones, combines the signals, and then sends it out, and we can go into a device. We can go into our computer with USB, what have you. What's wrong with this is that it says it takes a 5 volt power supply in it. I've never found one that works with it. Somebody said there was one. I don't know what it is. And it will eat up, in about 30 minutes, it'll eat up a set of batteries. Well, if I'm doing a show, one of our shows is 45 minutes. If Ben Stowe and I are talking, it's probably longer. It doesn't last a show. Second thing is that it'll put one of us in the left ear and one of us in the right ear. And when people are listening to it, if they only have one ear in, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, his microphone's not. We had that last year because we used this in Atlantic City last year. We sounded good, except, Brian Red was in one ear and I was in the other ear. So it can function, short battery life, and the left-right thing is a problem for remote. So this isn't one I would recommend. It can function, but it's not something I'd recommend. For doing remote things where you want to be able to grab 2 microphones and bring it in, there's a couple of different companies that make a version of this. Zoom, their version of it, it's two XLR microphones in, and it has a line out. And this little device, somewhere between $200 and $400, depending upon which company you go with. I've got this one. The negative thing is that when you plug it all in, you have to set it so it's recording to be able to see your microphone volumes. As you can see the little bar there that will bounce along. But it does a fabulous job. You get, in essence, stereo microphone in, or you get the mono to both sides, 2 microphones. You can make one hotter, one a little less, whatever you need to do. It has phantom power, and you can plug it in. I can plug it into a mixer if I want to. If I can plug it into, they go into USB, whatever I need to do with it, and it has an absolute fabulous sound. So for mobile applications, 2 mics, this is, if I'm doing especially wireless where I need to go battery powered. If you're just grabbing audio for a podcast, the little H1N is my second method. Before we had some decent wireless microphones, I would shoot the video and be walking and talking at a distance and recording with this. If you're doing couples recording and being able to wanting to catch some of their, maybe their little, they talk over the voiceover for their first dance, where they're going to say, wow, the first time I met you, I knew you'd be the one, that type of thing. This little recorder is surprisingly good, and it's under $100 most of the time. It's one I've been very, very surprised at the quality of this thing, and it's something to definitely check out. Getting into more mobile device things, if you want to go right into the cell phone, Rode, of all the lab mics, and if you go search cell phone lab mics, you're going to see hundreds of them. I would say I probably have had about 40 or 50 Chinese ones sent, and that sounds like a lot. When I did this first video and put it up for Rode, the Chinese company started sending me their lab mics. And I have got so many of them that a couple of them I use, most of them are junk, and I've replaced them. Yes, this is $70, but it's probably the best $70 I have spent. I was using one earlier, Jeremy he's used one. They aren't the most durable things, as lab mics aren't, but the quality of the sound and the flexibility and such with it is definitely worth looking into. The Smart Lab, there was a Smart Lab and then a Smart Lab Plus. I don't know if you can get the Smart Lab anymore. I wouldn't recommend it. The Smart Lab Plus just had a little bit better dynamics. When you have that, one thing I should point out, tip ring sleeve down there, which is a cell phone type connection, because you've got your microphone and you've got your audio in. So sometimes you're going to need a connector to be able to use that microphone, which is a great mic, but if I want to use it with my camcorder, I've got to go from a tip ring sleeve, the gray side, to the other side, which is a tip ring sleeve of a camcorder. And I have also purchased the opposite, so I can take a regular microphone and use it like my Rode Shotgun mic. If you guys have seen, I didn't put that up. I should have put that one up here too. It's the Rode Pro Shotgun mic. It's a great little mic for being able to do interviews in a quiet room that I'm wanting to talk to somebody about 10 feet away. We need to have this. So the S3 and the S4 are 2 completely different applications, but if you look at it, some companies have actually listed them wrong on Amazon. where they have the S3 description on the S4. So if you buy that thinking, oh, I need this one, and then it's the wrong one. So just something to be aware of, that there's more than one. This is actually my latest addition. It allows me to go into my cell phone, but you can see I have mic in 1 and mic in 2. I can run 2 of those little lab microphones in there. So now I can do an interview if I want to, having 2 people on video with my cell phone. And then I have the headphones so we can actually hear if we sound like what we want to sound like. That's my latest addition to our things. I haven't used that at a show yet, but I'm really kind of excited to be able to use that and in Atlantic City when we're coming up here in a couple of weeks, or a couple of months, I should say. Another fairly new addition we added in 2019. This is the ability to be able to capture better audio. I wanted to use a higher end wired microphone for what we're doing. I went with the Sennheiser. This particular unit is around $1,200 for the film version. It's using the G4 platform from Sennheiser. EW500 is a great one. They have a couple of steps down from this. They also have the XSW or XSWD versions that can do similar. But what this can do is that one of these is a transmitter for belt pack or for a lav. The other one is a receiver that goes on a camera, and then we have that little device right in the middle. And that little device right in the middle will hook up to any XLR or Shure SM58 or a different one, and a different microphone. We'll look at a Sennheiser in a second, and you can get incredible sound with this. This is studio type quality sound from this, and my range, I can go 150, 200 feet away, and I can go through walls, and you can still hear. Continuing on, to do these things with the cell phone, this is the mount I've actually used, and what I can mount, put the cell phone in there, tighten it up, and on the very top I've got a cold shoe. I can mount the receiver from this into that cold shoe at the top, and then I plug everything into the cell phone, and I have that ability to be able to shoot and talk to the microphone or talk to the camera, and everything's in one little device. Some of the units that have the ability to hold the cell phone and have a cold shoe on it like that don't work very well. This one is actually well built enough, and why I probably have 8 or 10 of these different devices that I've used over the years and thrown away. This is my preferred interview mic right now for most of the shows that I'm going to be not standing next to a person. If I need something that's going to be able to almost be a shotgun mic, the E865 can do both. It can be used as a short microphone, but it also, I can put it down here and it picks up, which this one doesn't. That Sennheiser they did a fabulous job with the E865. I would highly recommend looking at that one if you're looking for something that has that range, and with a lot of us as wedding DJs, we do. Electro Voice came out with the RE420. That's their answer, I would say, to it. It doesn't have quite the pickup. It's like really good from about 6 inches to about 18, probably about a foot. That it really, there's no drop off. And then when you get beyond, it's gone. For many of the shows where I'm interviewing someone, we're talking about this and we're doing this thing, and I'm holding the microphone for them, and they're 4 or 5 feet away. The Sennheiser would pick it up, the EV wouldn't. But I will actually sound even a little bit better with the EV holding it like this than the Sennheiser, which they both are fabulous mics. So when you're doing some of the lighting in the studio and such, this is an area in which I've struggled with. I mean, we've got a light that the one's coming from the back that's kind of a warm white somewhere in that, but you're going to be wanting to look for lights that are in that 3,000 to 4,000 K range. If you go down to the Ape Labs, they've actually got some little puck lights, which are very similar to what I'm using in the studio. And those little puck lights, you can adjust the colors and such, because you need to have a little color. Otherwise, we look, especially those of us in Minnesota, we look really white and pasty. Ape Labs has them. I went to the local hardware store and picked them up. I didn't bother to go on Amazon. You can find them all over on Amazon. I wanted something I could go to the hardware store, and if I didn't like them, I could take them back. So it was a Home Depot type purchase and such. But yeah, I was talking to Owen, and we were looking at his little puck lights he has, and you can actually get those honed in for the right coloration and make a person look really good. The rest of this is we're going to be going through the different software programs that are out there. I'm just going to give you an overview quick, and then we'll look at some of them. Wirecast is a broadcasting software which will allow you to take video sources and broadcast them out to YouTube, Facebook, different spots. Sometimes all at the same time, sometimes one at a time. But it's about $1,000 software. There's lesser expensive versions of it, but the one we use is about $1,000. OBS is a open broadcasting system or source. which is basically free to allow you to be able to do streaming and such free, and we'll look a little bit at that. vMix is a little bit newer. It's an Australian company that has a service. I think you can buy it for the year. It's less expensive. There's some different functionality. Zoom is my big one that we use a lot for meetings, client meetings and different things, and we'll look at some things from that. Webcam settings allows us to adjust camera, and we'll look at that. And Facebook Restream, we'll go through those all just to give you an idea. And I'm going to drop out of this because we're going to turn the mirroring back on, and that way we can go through some of these things. So just give me a second. Mirror displays, there we are. Okay, so the first one I wanted, this is what our Wirecast screen looks like, and OBS has some similarities to it. We basically have, in the upper left, we have our preview window, and on the right is what's being streamed out to the real world. On the bottom, you see these little black squares. These are all video clips, but because this doesn't have much hard drive space, I've had to delete all the video clips on there, and it's showing basically that they're empty files. But if a person is going to do the podcasting where you want to have your intros or overlays and different things, these little rows are actually layers. You have your top layer, your next layer. I think there's 5-layer capability. So I can put my overlay at the top layer. And then I have the next layer might be the working layer. And then the bottom might be music or something. But the idea is that you can click on these scenes, put them into the upper left. You click on the arrow and it bounces over to your broadcasting. And it's just a way to do this. Wirecast, I went with this because we've tried lots of them. It's expensive, but when they've had an issue, they fixed it. If I've had problems, I've called them and they've dealt with it. So I've been a huge fan of Wirecast for doing what we do. We're having to broadcast weekly shows all the time. For the average person, this is probably overkill. But if a person wants that type of service and that capability, and you go into, there's a ton of capability and functionality, and I don't want to waste your time. Waste your time with that. I want to go back to we'll pop this open. We'll work our way down. Of course, if you're going to be doing podcasting and you want to go stream, you can do it with YouTube. YouTube has a lot of capability, as does Facebook, to be able to do it right from your device. Most of them now have the ability to select if you have an external audio source as opposed to the laptop audio source. It's there. You can do things with it. I don't care to do things with the direct streaming too much because I want to have more control over it. This is Wirecast's page. And I wanted to show you just the pricing there. Wirecast 1, which probably would be, for most people, is about $250. We get it at $450, and it's actually, what is that, $700. We purchased I think at the time it was $900 is what I purchased for Wirecast Pro, and then they have an annual fee. I think I pay like $200 a year, and then I just keep getting, it's a subscription thing. I don't have to do the big one anymore. But now I get the updates, and again, I can call them and say, hey, it's not working, help me. OBS right here, OBS Studio, this is kind of a screenshot of what they have. MJ, with our team, he uses this an awful lot. I'm not a big fan of it because when you find a bug, I don't like it, and if I find a bug, I want to complain to someone. That's why I like Wirecast, I can complain to them. But OBS is free, a little learning curve. It doesn't have some of the functionality, but for most people, if you have the time, OBS would be the one to look at. Let's see. This is vMix coming, the Australian company. I want to see if they buy now. The functionality and such with them. There's a lot of functionality with this, and I don't know if it's going to even show this. Show their purchasing. There we go. So they've got different levels, all the way up to a $1,200. This is a buy it once type thing, which is kind of cool. And it can capture cameras and different things. The biggest neat thing about vMix is that it can do 4K streaming. Nothing else can do 4K streaming as of right now. They're the only ones that have that capability. So that's neat. I'm not gonna go there myself. Zoom is probably the thing we use the most because we'll do our live hangouts, we'll do our webinars. Where this applies to DJs the most, I think, is using it for client meetings. Whether it's before, or if it's something you're wanting to do, the meeting and such, after and booking the planning a meeting. Most of my clients, they live an hour to whatever away from me, and I haven't met face-to-face probably in about 9 months, maybe, last summer sometime. It's just the way it's worked out. With Zoom, this is kind of the back end of Zoom, and I have the meetings and the webinar. The meetings, I think we pay about $100 a year per seat is what they refer to it as, basically per user. And I have 5 users because we have multiple people doing shows all around. If you have the free version, you can still record. You can do everything except it's only a 40-minute time limit. The pro version, we can record, and then I think it's a 5 gig time or 5 gig memory thing or whatever it is. So we can go and we can schedule meetings. We can send a client a Zoom link that says, hey, at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, here's the link, and you click on that at 8 o'clock, and then I'll be there, and we can talk. What I like about it over Skype is that we don't have to share contact information. Some people are like, can we do FaceTime? And it's like, no, I'd rather not, because I don't want you having my personal phone number until you booked, and then once you booked, I'm okay with it, but not until. It's just the way, it's just me. What's another neat thing is that we can record to the cloud. So as an example, I think maybe it'll show up. No, it must be down below. You can, in our case, we use it where, like last night, Dan Carpenter did a live event, and it must be down below, but the recording, what they did last night, goes here, and then I can pull it down, which is kind of a cool thing. But your recording of your meetings would be here, so you could save that, and then you could refer to those later. Zoom itself, I'm going to actually open up the app itself and just kind of show you a couple of things with that. This is the latest version of Zoom that we're going to be looking at. And you can start a meeting with video, without, and we're just going to go with that. The big difference between a webinar and starting a Zoom meeting like we're doing right now is webinar, I would be a situation where I wanted to be on, and maybe Scott and I were going to be on for the show. I would send him a link, and he and I would be able to get on camera. And the rest of you could get a link, but you wouldn't be on camera with us unless we promoted you. So if you were doing some training, or if you were doing something for brides on your email list and you wanted to just do a webinar, but you wanted them to come into this private thing, webinar does that. And I believe that's $40 a month for that upgrade. You can turn it on and off as you need. So pay $40 for a month, and then you shut it off, whatever you want to do. With the meeting capability, and it's recording right now, so I'm going to stop that because I have it set to just automatically record. I could turn the audio on with the computer. I don't want to do that because it might mess something up. But we've got our little screen right there, and you can see across the bottom that I have a lot of different capability. I have it in this particular area. If I would have more microphones or more audio sources, it would give me a list of the mixers I have on any of the USB devices. Then when I go to my cameras, if I have multiple cameras, it would allow me to find that. Or I can do, I can set a background and such. If I have a virtual camera, which is software that makes a camera that would be from a different source. So if I would be doing something out of Wirecast and bring it, I could do that here and grab that virtual camera, but I can select what I want to use. I can invite people, and that gives me the little link. I guess I got a couple of people who are there, but I could copy the URL, and I get it right there, so I could send that to the bride. There's chat manage. The share screen is probably the coolest thing for couples, is I could have the video that I want to show them and talk to them about, or some images I want a slideshow. And I can go and I could actually select that. I've got the ability to do a whiteboard if I needed to do that. Right here, I can actually connect an iPhone or a tablet via the USB, and I can actually grab that. So if I had something on my tablet and I wanted to share it in a presentation, I click on that, and it will actually share that with my couple. But I might want to go to and share the Google window there, the Chrome window. I can click on that and share, and then it will show me, can you guys see that green box around it? That green box is showing me that this is the area that's being shared. A little green line all the way around. So I can choose to share that area, or we're gonna go under, on the very bottom. If you're gonna share a video that has audio, you can actually, this is one of the things we had requested them to add, is the ability to share sound from your computer. You can click on that now. Any video I play would be now shared to everyone that's out there, which is kind of a cool feature. We can go to Advanced. Advanced has a couple of cool things. The capture from second camera, that is where that little Thunderbolt Blackmagic design or a second webcam, that comes in. That's where that would be coming right into it, and it'll give you that 1080p resolution image to share. Or you can go, and when it's highlighted, is to select a portion of the screen. So if I wanted to just select, I can click on that, and I could go through, I'll move this out of the way, and maybe I only wanted to go and show them, or this area of the screen, If I want to do a PowerPoint, well, I could actually bring the PowerPoint up. I suppose the keynote's here somewhere. If I wanted to keep the keynote up like this and I wanted to just share this window, I can't really do it with one computer because I need to export to a second screen, or this is going to monopolize it and I wouldn't be able to see my little things on the side. But I can highlight that area and just share that to my bride. So if I had a PowerPoint that I wanted to share as my part of my presentation, I could do that. She wouldn't be able to see any of this stuff or any of the top. All she would see is right in that area, and that's with the portion, doing a portion of the screen. If I do the sound, they'll still hear my microphone and they'll hear anything that plays on my computer. So if I have something really weird that's going to be played sound-wise on my computer, she or he will hear it, which would be possibly bad. Continuing on with the Zoom, there's a chat, there's the record button if we wanted to do that. Breakout rooms is something that we've done with a few of our shows where we can actually have people go into a specific spot. It's nothing we would use for most of our areas. This is the last area that's kind of cool for getting back to podcasting. We can go in, there's different places that we can stream this to. We can actually stream our meeting, whether it's the webinar or this now, to different locations. I can hook this up and stream this to somewhere on Facebook, only one location. I can hook it up to stream to one location on YouTube. Or if we look at the very, very bottom, it says live stream on custom live streaming service. And that's what I'm gonna click on, because the other ones will take us to a similar situation as this. And I can go and I can enter in my streaming information, and when I enter that in, it will send that video to that different location. I will show you where this fits in here as we tie in, because we're going to continue in our software here. Oh, into Safari. I don't want to go to Safari, sorry. Should have gone to Chrome.
How many windows you got open?
Lots. Lots. There's a webcam setting. That's the icon, by the way. There's many. If you're an Apple, this is the one you want. It's $8. Absolutely fabulous. Actually, I can show you what it does in webcam setting. I think it'll show. It should be able to adjust the colors here. Show webcam setting, where I should be able to go into advanced, or maybe the basic, and I can adjust contrast and different things on the cameras, and I can do. Okay, on my big one, I can do zoom. I can do zoom and I can do correction left and right. But anyway, webcam settings, and there's the PC versions of it too. So I would definitely recommend that. I want to continue to go. That custom information, that custom can allow me to connect to Restream. From Restream, this is actually our Restream thing that you're seeing right now. So that's why you're seeing this up here. That's a little live. It's supposed to be a live feed of what's going on right now. It's getting. That's not cool. I can go and enter in all of my YouTube and Facebook channels. I can turn them on and off, and then I can send one signal to this, and then it sends it to all these other places. So it's sending it to like 7 different places. It should be 7 or 8 right now. There we go. It's moving a little bit. Over on the right side, you'll see that there's some code over here, and that is, we've got our RTMP, this code, this URL, and this stream key. I can copy those, and I can take those over to into the Zoom area here. I can enter those in, and now this is something that we had requested from Zoom, is the ability to be able to take that and stream to something else, whether it's Chew.tv or in our case, if it's Restream. So now a person, one of some of our DJNTV people, they can connect via Zoom and they can send it here and they can do all the videos and such. Well, I'm not back in the office, and it's absolutely fabulous. It's like, yay. Restream's about $15 a month for the basic or the regular service, and then I believe it goes up to, does it have pricing here? This is Restream's website here that I'm not logged in, because if I'm logged in, it just goes right to that. So Restream is about $16 a month and goes up to $41 for the professional. We have the $16 a month, and it works fine and such for what we have been doing. No, excuse me, we did have to go to $41 a month now because we needed more Facebook destinations. So we paid the $41 a month. We started with $16 for the first month or two. So Restream's one of our recent additions, and it's actually been incredibly valuable for what we're doing. There's some things it can't do with getting descriptions properly, but for what we want to do and we want to hit a lot of places, it works well. The final things I wanted to kind of hit here before we wrap up is if you're wanting to do intros and such for your podcast, video aids, I talked about this the other day. They make a really cool their little website and such, and they create their animations and things. I don't know if this one will show one of them, but they've got a lot of different animations, and I don't want to hear you. Yeah, you're an idiot. I don't want you. Anyway, Video Ace is definitely one I would check out. Must not be logged in here or something. We'll just pop over, and then the other one is going to audio blocks and story blocks, where they have royalty-free music and royalty-free video clips that you can utilize in your podcast if you're going to be utilizing something like that. I buy both. We pay for both of these, and we use some of the clips here and there, but not as much as I thought we'd ever use it. But the Video Ace stuff, I'm hoping that, there we go. This is an example of what they have. You can go through and you can do a search for it, and most of their intros and outros, you can go and look at it and say, oh yeah, and then it pops up the logo. If you are interested, that's what they're. If you're just doing one or two, I would recommend the intro maker that I talked about the other day for the iPad. So some of the tools and some of the software that we are using on a weekly basis for what we're doing out there. So that's pretty much it of what I wanted to cover. I think I've hit everything. So all the links and such for all the stuff that I've talked about are going to be out at djntv.com/podcasting. And you can see some of the pieces and such. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'm easily found online almost anywhere. So anyone with a question or a thought, or otherwise we're going to go and have supper. Excellent. I think it's time for supper. Thank you guys very much, and have yourself a great evening.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, you are welcome.
Did you have the other one?
There's another one on the podium up there.
Okay.